Let's talk about whether or not we're really moving into an alt season. So you're all familiar with this here. This is the typical phases of a bull market where money's in Bitcoin, flows down into Ethereum, then into other altcoins, large cap and small cap. That's what we're hoping is going to happen. Is that happening or not? Is anything showing that? I think it is. Let's take a look. First, I got to say I'm Brian. My disclaimers, I'm a big dumb animal. Don't do what I do. Informational purposes only. I'm putting this out on Sunday. You may see it on Monday, but I'm not going to publish anything on Monday because in the United States, it's Memorial Day. And I want to be respectful for all of those that have given their lives for our nation. Okay, so let's look at the idea that the market is moving the way we think it's moving and altcoin season is right around the corner. Take a look at this. This will be fairly quick. We've got the total market. The total market is to represent, as we've said before, it's 3.37 trillion, all of the cryptocurrency. Okay. This blue line is where it peaked last bull market. We are above that. If we look at the last 2 weeks, these are weekly candles, it's gone up quite a bit. Tell you how much in a moment. Let's compare that to the others chart. The others chart. Now, this orange line is the last bull run high back in 2021. We are currently nowhere near that at the moment. In the last 2 weeks, we had 1 week green up and one down. So others hasn't moved that much. And I have to point out that others is supposed to be the total crypto market minus the top 10. And one of the individuals in my school community pointed out that it's actually, I believe, the top 125, but that does probably make up the majority of the altcoins. It's supposed to represent the rest of the market in terms of market cap. I should say, if you're interested, I have a school community. It's a paid community down below. You'll see a link. We've got discussions on all the different crypto that we discuss every day, as well as videos and classes to teach you everything you want to know about crypto. We now know that the total market has gone up substantially in the last 2 weeks. The other market doesn't seem to have moved that much. What does that really mean? Well, if we look at the top 10, first being Bitcoin, then Ethereum. Well, Bitcoin is the majority of the movement of the total market because we know the dominance at the moment is 64%. 64% of the total market cap is Bitcoin. Okay, so now we know that out of those top 10, some of the big movers, obviously Bitcoin is really going to move it. It hit a high of around 110 or 111,000. That's why this total market has really taken off. What's next? Well, in the phases, we want to see it go from Bitcoin down into Ethereum. Is anything moving into Ethereum? Well, let's take a look at Ethereum. In April, just a month and a half ago, it had a low of 1,500. It's now at 2,500. It got as high as 27, almost 2,800. So it went up $1,000 on 1,500, a substantial move. So yes, money is moving into Ethereum. Now, in order to go from Bitcoin to Ethereum, and then we want to see it into these other coins, altcoins. Well, with Ethereum, obviously you can swap it into other coins, but also stable coins. In the top 10, there were two. Tether, which has been around for quite a while. Back in the last run up in November, it was around 70 billion of Tether. Now it's around 150 billion of Tether alone. USDC has gone up quite a bit. Now, if we look at all the stable coins here on DeFi Llama, we can see that at the low point back in 23, early 24, probably about 125 billion total. This is everything Tether, USDC, and more. Now it's 250 billion. That's twice, obviously, easy math, 125 billion to 250 billion in the last year and a half. That is a substantial amount of USDT and USDC, and we saw more money going into Ethereum. Well, let's take a look, and I posted this in my school community, said, hey, in the past week or so, past week and the prior week, the last 2 weeks, we saw the total market, this total market go up by about 90 billion. Yet the others market was up 2 and down 12. Really didn't move. It was kind of negative. So that tells us that the top 10 moved more than anything else. Of the total market move, it was mainly these top 10 coins because Bitcoin skyrocketed, Ethereum's gone up, and USDT and USDC in particular have run up substantially. Well, if we look at our phases, that's what we expect. And to me, this is very exciting because USDT and USDC is one more step removed. I think of it this way. I'm in the US, I have dollars. Well, if I want to buy crypto, I've got to get it onto an exchange or into a wallet, and then I'm going to turn it into something that I can then swap out. Either Ethereum, so I use it on Uniswap to get a coin, or I turn it into a stable coin. So to me, this means with all of those stable coins going up significantly and Ethereum, that the money has flowed down, starting to in the Ethereum area. I think it still has a way to go, but there's a lot of money sitting on the sidelines. And those are serious people. That's not money sitting in a bank account. That's money that's been moved on chain and turned from a currency into a fiat currency, whatever yours is, into a stable coin, which I gotta believe means they want to then deploy it into altcoins. They're just waiting. And if we think the last cycle had a huge run up, the last time the market ran up, if we've got twice as much in terms of stable coins, not too long ago, I mean, 2021, 2022 was around 125 billion as well. We have twice as many stable coins, it looks like, sitting on the sidelines. This could be a heck of a run. So that's exactly what we want to see. We now see that, yes, Bitcoin is running, money is moving into Ethereum, and there's a whole bunch of money of stable coins. So it's looking like we're in this phase, and with those stable coins, we're about to launch into alt season at some point. Also, what I want to point out, if you look and dig into something like USDC, which is much smaller than Tether, but this is an interesting site, usdc.cool, you can see where the stable coins sit. Why would you use this? Well, you can see Ethereum, 40 billion, Solana, Arbitrum, Base, Avalanche, Sui. And then it goes down. Hedera, for example, has gone up by over 100 million in the past month. It went from 100 million to 240 million in the past month. How could this be helpful to you? Well, if it's on the Base network, for example, 4 billion, well, anyone on Coinbase might be looking to deploy that into the various coins that Coinbase has. And they don't have many compared to the entire market. And then if you go down, like I'm a big fan of, for example, Sui, in SuiLend. I like DeFi projects, borrow lend projects, that sort of thing, as well as RWA and all sorts of things. But also Hedera, 200 million, that's a big amount, especially in the last month. That tells me that I believe people are sitting on the sidelines. Of course, I'm an optimist, sitting on the sidelines with these stable coins ready to deploy on projects on that particular layer. Could be right, could be wrong. And to me, those are just some of the signs that we are indeed following these phases, and we will start launching into what could be quite a parabolic alt season. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.